What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're switching it up a little bit. We're not going to be working on the E30. We are going to be pulling in the Caprice for some work. Alright guys, so we're going to be working on the Caprice today. Like I said in a previous video, I wanted to change out these gauges to something more usable. So right now I have oil pressure and oil temperature. I'm going to combine those two into one gauge, and then I'm going to put a voltmeter in there. So that way I know if my voltage is a little low or I drop voltage or something. It's this car sits for a little bit, so you know, it'd be nice to know if it's kind of lower on voltage, if it's going to crank or not. But here's the two gauges I'm going to be putting in, and I will show you the process on how I ran my wiring. This is for the 11 to 13 guys. 14s might be the same, but like I said, I'm not sure. I have a 13, so this is how I'm going to do it. All right, guys, so how I ran my wires are through this hole right here. So I'm going to pop this section of the cowl off, and I will show that process. It's just a bunch of push pins. I think there's 6 in total, but I'm just going to use one of these trim tools and get that out of the way. So now that I got the cowl piece popped off, I'm going to go on the inside and show you what parts you need to remove from the interior. Alright guys, so now that we're in the interior, how my gauges are ran is the wire comes out of the back of these gauges, goes down, and then it runs across the front trim piece right there and along here, and then it goes down underneath to the floor well. So I'm going to take this panel off and this panel off, and then I'm going to rock that forward to get to the back of the gauge pods, or the gauges, I guess. So I ended up taking the passenger pillar off, and it just makes it a little bit easier to get to the clips on this center, or the section, the trim piece. So as you can see, my wires are all taped right there. I need to do some tracing and figure out what's what, and then I will be able to trace back what gauges these are, unplug them, and then start wiring in the new sensors. But as you can see, my wires go down right here, and then they are fed into the firewall down there. So I'm gonna have to get upside down a little bit in this in a minute and go from there. All right guys, so I got that pulled out from under the dash, and when I did this at first, I created a sub harness. So as you can see right there, that's my sub harness, and it ties into the gauges right here to provide them power. Well, I did that about 2 years ago when I cammed the car, and I couldn't remember what color wire was which, and they are all ran right here. So we have yellow, red, and black. So I took off the fuse box cover. My red is going to be my switch 12 volt. My yellow right there is going to be my constant 12 volt, and then my black is going to be my ground. So I made myself a little cheat sheet for that, so when I go back and I'm splicing in the gauges or the new gauges, I can kind of reference that instead of getting in and out of the car. And then the green and the black wires that run up through the firewall and back down, those are going to be a little more tricky because those go to the oil pressure and oil temperature gauges. I'm hoping that there's kind of a connection point at some point during these, and it's not just one wire run, but I guess we'll see. So I'm gonna get to work on unraveling the harness that I pulled out, and start wiring in the new connections for power and ground and switched 12 volt. And then I will tackle the actual data wires that need to go and run to the oil pressure and oil temperature gauges. So quick update on what I'm doing. I ended up running a new white wire right there, and it goes to what would be like the ground for the temp sensor. Before it was just a black wire or the green wire going to the temp sensor, and it's fine. The pressure sensor, all the wiring was the same on the gauge, same everything. The temp sensor was a little different, so I had to run a new wire. So I did that. I also am in the middle of sleeving this right here. So I'm wrapping this harness so it's not sticking out red, white, or red, yellow, and black, and looks bad in my opinion. So I'm wrapping that, and then I have my connection points for the temp sensor right here. So that will be my white and black. So white will actually be green and black will be white, and then that will be temp sensor done. And then I can stuff that in there. I already have all of the wires ran to the gauge itself, so that's good. I was trying to avoid running whole new harnesses all the way throughout the car and use what was there already, since I already had a temp and a pressure sensor in place, and now I'm just putting them into one actual gauge. And then I still need to undo all those connections and redo them. I'm gonna do them a little nicer and wrap it, and then it'll be easier to hide under the trim piece over there. But yeah, so we're working on it. I'm gonna finish wrapping the wires up front right there, and then I will start digging into the wires right here, and I'll come back sometime then. All right, so I finished looming that little wire sub harness. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the cowl back on because I'm pretty much done under the engine bay. All I have to worry about is under the dash. I also forgot to show in the last clip the entry point in the car. Let's see if I can show you guys. So it is gonna be up there. I'm not sure how well you can see, but it's up in that area. I took off this side panel and down here just so that I could have better access to kind of show where it goes. So it's that white or yellow, red, and black wire. If you follow it over there and up, it's probably like right there if you go all the way back. But yeah, that's where it comes through under the cowl. So I will give you guys another look under here of where it goes. So it will be right down, actually this is probably better. So right where that yellow wire is going in is where you're gonna go through at, and it comes out under the dash. So use that to get wires in and out of the engine bay and into the cabin. There's a grommet there, or there should be a grommet there. I'm pretty sure there's a grommet. You might need to poke a hole in it, but that's what I used. That's what I found. I think there's another one over on the driver's side, but I didn't want to mess with that. There's more room on the passenger side, so that's what I did. All right, guys, so I just finished up wiring. I'm gonna test it first to see if I did everything correct, and then I'll probably, put some tape on this whole mess right here, some like harness tape, and just make it look nice before it gets hidden. And then I also have to put the gauges in the gauge pod, but we'll go ahead and test it. And it looks like they work. So I have 11.6 volts, and my oil temp is 102, oil pressure 0 because the car's off. And then I will go ahead and put those in the pod and then wrap up the wiring. So I will come back when I get done with that and you'll see. All right, guys, so our install for these gauges is complete. As you can see, they are working just fine. Everything is put back together, and the Caprice is good. So if you guys like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more Caprice content, I have some more on my channel, just a couple more. I've been working on my E30 lately, but I have plans to do more work to this thing, so stay tuned for that. I have more content on the way. But yeah, it was a pretty good gauge install. I hope that the video was a little helpful. I know some of the guys were asking how to route wires to the engine bay, and I have shown one way to do it. Like I said before, there's probably a grommet near the steering shaft, but I did not go that way. I wanted more room to work underneath the dash, so I chose the passenger side. So that will end the video. If you liked the video, like I said, give it a thumbs up, but I will see you guys next week. See ya.